Alright everyone, we start off today with a very funny video. There are a couple of links in the description, archived of course. The Democrats are completely demoralized right now. They realize at this point, 3 weeks out from the midterms, they will lose. They're expecting to lose the House, although, if they had any intelligence at all, they knew that they were going to lose the House anyway. Historically speaking, it would be very, very strange if the Democrats didn't lose by a double-digit margin in the House races. The 50-50 is the Senate. They're also going to lose several gubernatorial slots. At this point, at least 2 pickups for the GOP are virtually assured. That means it's close to being a red wave as the basis. The lowest sum total the GOP is likely to win, barring, an act of God or major honkening, which in most states is not a thing anymore. The basis point would be 20 pickups, I think, in the House. That's the lowest end of my predictions. 2 gubernatorial slots and breaking even at this point in the Senate. It would be strange if the Dems managed to pick up the Senate as well. I'm going to read these verbatim, though. They come from a couple of Democratic commentators. They're very, very black-pilled. It's beginning to dawn on them, belatedly, that they're about to lose. First, we've got Cenk, of course, of the Young Turks. We will probably be clanking in his chat after my live stream on the midterm day with Sleazy P. Martini. By the way, again, today, no news live stream. I'm going to be streaming late, like 4 or 5 hours after when I normally do, and my hope is to have Sleazy P. Martini there. But first, we've got to do a sort of a tech thing. We've got to go on an unpublished StreamYard chat and figure everything out. I want to make sure that I can use graphics on the side while having him there and we're both visible. We've got to look into getting third parties aboard, having guests, because that's the plan for the midterms. So it's not just going to be me rambling for 4 hours, which is probably more entertaining. Fucking Sleazy's hilarious, so it's going to be... Trust me when I say that on the midterm day, you need to tune in to Sticks, Hex, and Hammer. It's going to be a goddamn blast. We'll probably go for 4, maybe even 5 hours. Here's Cenk. It looks like we're going to lose the midterms. People will look back at Democrats' inability to pass voting rights legislation as the moment we lost everything. Stunning failure of epic proportions. And everyone in D.C. yawned because they're used to excusing Democratic failures. Yes, the Democrats are going to lose in the midterms because you didn't pass voting rights legislation. Because that's really a top issue for American voters. It's not the economy. This is news to me. It's not the economy. It's not inflation. It's not gas prices. It's not crime. It's not the border. It's not wokeness in schools. It's not even abortion. It's voting rights legislation. That's the main issue. Very, very interesting. It's news to me. And then we have Mark Jacob, another long-term liberal. It blows my mind that some Americans would be okay with life in a dictatorship as long as they save 25 cents on a gallon of gas. This dismissive attitude is very ironic in this situation. The reason the Democrats are going to lose in the midterms, at this point I'm just going to say they will lose, at the very least the House. There's no doubt in my mind at this point. It's a little bit late in the game for anything to change that. You're getting beyond October surprise territory, and you got nothing. The economy is worsening. Gas prices are now inching their way upward. Inflation refuses to go down. The Q3 numbers may or may not even be positive. If they are, it'll be very scant. At least you can say, well, the Biden recession is over. For now. Just wait till the Fed takes further actions. Anyway, this dismissive attitude from people like Mark Jacob is the problem for the Democrats. Their ability to autopsy their own failure is limited at best on a good day. This shows a complete lack of awareness of why there is a problem. Biden is perceived of, you may not believe this, okay, you're a liberal, you think that Biden has nothing to do with the economy unless the economy is getting better. It is perceived by the average independent voter, and that's really what matters, not partisan voters, but independents. It is perceived of that Biden is mostly responsible for that. It is perceived that the Democrats, who currently control the House, the presidency, and narrowly the Senate, are responsible for, generally, the path of the United States. If there are foreign policy failures, you can't blame the GOP for them. Voters will not accept that blame because it doesn't make any sense. The Democrats have the presidency, they have the House, they have a 50-50 Senate with a VP tiebreaker. Who else is to blame for anything that goes wrong? So when everything is going wrong, when the border is completely unhinged, crime is rising, wages are outpaced by inflation, the gas prices are high and now rising again, the Biden administration has had multiple foreign policy failures, abysmal failures, Afghanistan being just one of them at this point. When you're inching closer arguably to World War III, or at least again, that's the perception among many voters, who gets blamed for that? Not the GOP, they're not in power. At the state level, in some states they're in power. It'll be probably several more states, by the way, in the executive capacity after the midterms. Biden gets blamed. And remember that old line, it's the economy, stupid. You were hoping with the Dobbs decision that you could have a left-wing manifesto and you could pass national abortion up until birth and voting rights legislation and all this other shit. It never materialized. Biden gave you the pig in a poke student loan debt forgiveness scam, which, by the way, I don't know if it's opt-in, opt-out. I have no clue what's going on with it. Apparently it's going forward. By what methodology? I'm not even sure. Where's the actual legislation codifying it? I don't even know. Is there even an executive order for this? I don't even know what the fuck is going on at this point. It looks like the Department of Education just decided to dip into the funds and say, fuck it. Fuck the Constitution and the courts and all this shit. We're just going to give people back some of their own money on the backs of working class voters. That, by the way, is probably harming the Dems more than it's helping them. I have a feeling that a lot of those women's studies majors that are still in debt because magically they couldn't find a job after they graduated, they're going to vote Democrat anyway. A lot of those blue-collar unionists, I think, in the safety of the ballot box are going to be casting their votes red this year. You're going to lose. You're getting it admitted to. It's now just a matter of how much you lose by. A red wave begins, I think, at 30 House seats and at least one Senate pickup. That's the big thing. Will you achieve that in the Senate? It's up in the air. It could go in the other direction. The Dems could feasibly pick up a seat in the Senate. Probably not more than that, and I still lean towards the Republicans taking the Senate. I think by a seat, 2 seats is possible. Somewhere in that area. Gubernatorial slots in House, though, are basically off the table. It's a matter of how much the Democrats lose by. If the Republicans only take the House by single digits and pick up 1 gubernatorial slot, Cenk will be celebrating at the end of the night, oh, thank God there was no red wave election. I think it'll be worse and much more painful for the Democrats than they think, because when people get in the ballot box, they might check their wallet, see how little money is in there, or they may have driven to the voting place and seen how much it costs to gas up on the way there, and it's going to tilt their vote a little bit. By the way, you've got massive turnout in early voting in Georgia. The problem for the Democrats being it's not favoring them as heavily, it seems, when those votes are analyzed. That's really bad for the Democrats if they don't have a massive and substantial lead in a place like Georgia, basically a 50-50 some state at this point. If you don't have a 2-to-1 lead in early voting, you're fucked. I hate to tell you this, but I do not see good things for the Democrats. Well, I don't hate to tell you that. I'm glad of that. And I say this as a non-Republican. You don't need to be a GOP, or you don't even need to be like MAGA or a populist to appreciate the fact that a Democratic Party that's fundamentally out of touch with voters, with their needs, in which all the craptivists make 6 or 7 figures anyway, so, they're living in a gated community or a penthouse. They don't mind the higher gas prices. They've got the electric vehicle and the solar panels on their roof and shit like that because they can afford this stuff. They can afford the toys that 90% of the population can't. And that's the problem. They represent an elitist mentality. They're also prepping to blame voters at large for their loss. I've seen a hell of a lot of a swing in the last 48 or so hours in commentary with regards to these people. And it looks like they're prepping to blame voters and lambaste them for choosing fascism over democracy. That seems to, the new whipping boy, I guess, for the Democratic Party is just to say that we hate all of the voters. Democracy has killed democracy. Oh my God, women are going to be barefoot in the kitchen. Gay people are soon going to be exiled. Black people will be lynched. Everyone will lose their rights. The United States will just be nothing but Jesus camp with a lot of guns. That's the line they're going with. You fucked up the economy. You fucked up Afghanistan. You're fucking around in Ukraine right now. It's you doing this. Nobody else. You're the party in power. Yeah, you're going to take your lumps for the economy being trash. Biden is more than 10 points underwater. That's not even close to the break-even point, by the way. If Biden's approval rose by 5 points, you would still probably lose a considerable House margin. You might still lose a Senate seat or two. That would be the break-even point. If Biden were at 46 or 47 or something, he's not even close to that. Give me a goddamn break. I love the quote. They're not even waiting until after the election for it. They wrote off Stacey Abrams several weeks ago. Beto will follow suit fairly soon, along with Charlie Crist, by the way. That's about all. Peace out.